Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm up. I don't know what I just did, but now it's working. Okay. I guess we have to take attendance when they come in. Mm-hmm. Do you want to sit in the chair just so I can see if the camera's at the right height?
Sure.
Oh, it's perfect. I'd like to get the screen in there.
Sit back a little bit. How's that? I'm about the same size, same height.
There. Now I've got the screen in the background too.
Perfect. This is going to be your throne.
Yeah, that's perfect. Right there. Okay, and then this is going to be my chair.
Okay.
So that I can keep an eye. Yeah.
I'll go over there so that
just watch the wires.
Yeah, I have to cross in front of the class.
Okay. Okay.
Anywhere?
Just straight to the end of an aisle so that people can still get through.
Can you sit like here? Can you sit right here? Anywhere. Here. Okay, sure. Say first spot. She's actually coming.
So you're going to stand up right from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'll just take your mic.
Okay, come in, guys. Anywhere? No, we're waiting for everybody else to come.
We're gonna go to the washroom. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna get there. So
Judy, want to sit here and I'll take a picture of you?
A is fun, but like A is a picture that people can handle, and
I'll take a picture of you with the background.
either that or A is the picture that people are going on all three.
Perfect.
Are you going on it? I'm not doing it myself. I can't afford that. That's funny because it's not oh yeah, talking to people with more like I can this, like, how does what? Which very thing is more
Yeah.
Come home like you. She's like, oh, trust me, like they don't. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Should I take a picture of that wall?
And then she's like, no, trust me. You nothing. People are coming. So she's like trying to show me pictures she can't. Then some other person.
Is that better? There's only one slide that's going to stay on the background.
Is it okay if I sit here?
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Oh wait, good. Are you doing gap year?
Is that good?
If I can afford it. Oh wait, our classes. They probably like had extra spaces
Folks, you got to fill in the aisle and go right to the end of the row so that people don't climb over you to sit down.
because they want to be on their phones. Because they don't actually care. It's Thursday. How are these pants? They're so bad. They're centered for pants. What?
What do we need?
No, nothing. I was just telling her that so far I'm impressed very much with the school and you. And
I wish my principal felt the same about me.
that's all I can tell you. We gotta have a talk with him. Judy, look at me, sweetie. Okay. Oh, you don't see the kids. I think she's not.
What do you need? I can move this.
Yeah. Can't see the kids. She said.
Okay.
What if we move you a little bit? Do you actually have anything to say?
I'm gonna use this so that I can put the camera and I'll slide this out of the way.
Whatever you're happy with, whatever works for you.
I understand.
Yeah.
So let's. Yes.
That's okay. I'm in the way. This still has to stay.
Did I lose my feed?
Hope not.
I did. Here we go. Okay.
There you are. Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. You did it.
Yeah. Now she's a little bit
She's a
higher.
little bit. Yeah, she can see. And that's the mic. Perfect.
No, I don't know. Here. No, I can see. I can see here. It's actually a little bit better because that's how it looks. Okay. So this will go off to the side. Okay, now we get so this.
Just be like,
So
You love what you do, Cheryl.
I do.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's important to me.
Oh, yes.
That-
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. You don't get in the flap. You're just very impressive.
Okay, I just need to keep an eye on that so if we don't lose our feed.
Want me
So
to move over one
no,
more chair?
no,
And
I'm
then you
good.
can-
I'm good. Just watch the wire.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
So Anne, do you want to sit over here so that we're kind of out of the way of the wires and I don't worry about it?
Here, I'll sit here.
I know.
we're like, show just pictures. I'm sure. Both. How are you going? Oh, okay. And then it's just like, what day is that? You just feel like you're all one off.
Does Judy want me to open your water and put it up there for you? Okay.
And then when we get to it's really like garbage, it's like I can
Ready? But I don't know. Is it easier?
Okay.
So this school has a personal history 38. My son was in the first graduating class of this school. After it opened up in 89, he graduated in 93. He was in, I think he started here grade 9 or 10, I can't remember now. But he was the first graduating full class. There was a small group. Yes, yes, I took it for him and I sent it to him last week and he was freaked out because what are you doing there? So, yeah, it's funny. When we moved up to Thornhill in the late 80s, he wanted to come to the school because it had air conditioning.
It's too cold this year, the first year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's in the picture too.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
We're going to get started in a minute, so just be patient. I lost my feed here again. There we go.
Excellent.
I'll turn it off.
Like I know you have like not baby small, but like yeah, considering that you know why it's like
That's the last class.
I'm just like if you guys are on your phone, either that or I'll just nap. I'll probably nap, but like I'm so socialized. Our bag. Sorry. Music playing or someone else's music.
Hey, did you hear the sound?
I heard the sound.
Oh, good.
I'm sitting in my.
Judy, you have a full house.
Okay, I think we're all settled and ready to start. So thank you all for coming today. You're actually in for a real special treat because there aren't that many firsthand accounts of what the Holocaust was like. To hear from a survivor is really something special. So I do hope that you cherish this moment and you show Mrs. Lysy the respect that she deserves. And yet you're quiet throughout the presentation. You're going to see a little video. We are going to have a little introduction from the Holocaust Center, and then Mrs. Lysy is going to speak, and there's definitely an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of the presentation. I will come around with the microphone and you can ask your questions at the end. Okay? So I'll just read you a brief introduction. Judy Lysy was born in Košice, Czechoslovakia in 1928. She lived with her parents, sister, and grandmother. During World War II, Nazi Germany invaded their town, and in March 1944, Judy, who was just a teenager like you, was deported with her family to Auschwitz-Birkenau and from there to various slave labor camps. She was liberated in May 1945 by the US Army. She immigrated to Canada in 1952 with her husband and daughter. I would like to welcome Karen from the Neuberger Holocaust Education Center for a brief introduction.
Thank you, Cheryl. Just to give you a bit of history on the Holocaust Education Center. My name is Karen Lysy, and I'm a volunteer for the Holocaust Education Center. This is the 37th annual Holocaust Education Week. It runs every year from November 2nd to the 9th, and attracts more than 35,000 people to over 150 programs across the GPA. It is presented by the Sarah and Chaim Neuberger Holocaust Education Center. Runs programs throughout the year as well. You're welcome to check the website, holocausteducationweek.com, to update yourselves. I would like to thank the host venue, Vaughan Secondary School, for hosting this program today. This year, Holocaust Education Week marks the 72nd anniversary of the end of World War II. But today's program will provide you with more than just a history lesson. You will be the first to view a short film providing background needed to understand this testimony you are about to hear. Then you will learn about the personal experiences, sacrifices, and courage and events that shape the lives of those who survived this difficult period and of those who did not. You are a privileged group as Holocaust survivors become older, as Cheryl mentioned. There will be fewer opportunities to hear these stories directly from the people that experienced this horrific period in Jewish history, human history. We invite you to attend as many programs as possible. I have provided some brochures on the desk here which tell you about programs throughout the city. If you're interested to attend any, for changes and updates or sending your comments, you can do that online. Visit our website, holocausteducationweek.com. At this point, I remind you to turn off your cell phones, which you probably all have done. After the program, you can send a tweet or post a Facebook message about something you have found particularly interesting and important. You can find us on Facebook as Neuberger Holocaust Education Center and on Twitter as Holocaust Ed. I hope you find this morning's program informative. Thank you.
Before World War II, more than half of the world's Jewish population lived in Europe. Most Jews lived in Eastern Europe, primarily in the Soviet Union and Poland. The Nazi Party came to power in Germany in 1933. The Germans moved to extend their power in Central Europe, annexing Austria and destroying Czechoslovakia. Germany invaded Poland in 1939, beginning World War II. Over the next 2 years, German forces conquered most of Europe. The Germans established ghettos in occupied eastern territories, isolating and persecuting the Jewish population. Nazi anti-Jewish policy expanded with the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. Mobile killing units murdered Jews, Roma, also called gypsies, Soviet political commissars, and others. The Germans and their collaborators deported Jews to extermination camps in occupied Poland. At the largest extermination camp, Auschwitz-Birkenau, transports arrived almost daily from across Europe. By war's end, almost 6 million Jews and millions of others had perished in the Holocaust.
Turn your mic on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Judy Lysy. I am a survivor. I was born in Czechoslovakia in 1928. Lived with my parents in a very nice home with my maternal grandmother and my sister Rose. I had a very nice early childhood. My parents were well-to-do people. We lived in a nice home. I had a German-speaking nanny, and I went to a private Catholic school. We were Jewish, but still my father believed that he can give me, who was a tomboy, a better education and better behavior to be a young lady. By going to a Catholic school, my teachers were nuns. I was very, very happy to go there, and I had very, very nice Jewish and non-Jewish friends. We were about 6 Jewish kids in my class, and we went through it all together, good and bad. We were very close-knitted friends. As I said, my parents were very well-known people, but plus they were very cultured people. We had to read foreign authors' book, French, Russian, English. We had to learn to speak English, German, Hungarian, Slovak, because we were occupied first with the Hungarians and then the Germans came in. We had to go to theater, to ballet. We had to know operas. As I said, my parents were very cultured people, and they tried to give us everything what they just could in educational way. It lasted about till I was 10 years old. In 1938, we were occupied by the Hungarians. Life changed. We didn't understand with my sister the big concern what my parents had with changing of the government. We were a very, very democratic country, the Czechoslovakian. Every religion, every race could live there, no difference was made. When the Hungarians came in, it started already the first year, the differences. We had to go to the same school, it's true, but we were selected whether we can go, the Jewish kids, to school or not. There was actually a numerus clausus is called legally, which was 6% of the body of the education-seeking children could just be Jewish, just 6%. Luckily, my sister and myself, we fell into this 6%, and we could continue to go our grade 5, 6, and so on. It didn't last that long that my father wasn't taken away for forced labor. After that, they came out, the Hungarians, with all kinds of regulation. First of all, we had to close our bank accounts. I should say they closed our bank accounts. Then they started, as the year progressed, they started to ask for all the silverware or gold or any valuable things in your home, you have to give it up. My mother stayed alone with 3 other women, my grandmother, my 2 sisters, and myself, and it was hard to go get by food. So she started to sell our belongings from our home. Then she, on the black market somewhere, she always provided us a piece of bread or the most necessary thing which we needed. My father came back from the camp about in 1943. just in time when they started to collect us all to go to the ghettos. I don't know whether you understand or you have ever heard or seen a ghetto. Usually they used to be on the end of the town, or it was streets in which there were big buildings and they put the Jewish people there, or there were factories or whatever, where they could collect the most of them. We had a brick factory, end of our street, and our ghetto, I should say, out of the town, as end of the town. And there was the brick factory where they originated our ghetto. I have to tell you a very short story here, which always brings me back, even that I am 90 years old. I can remember that I was so close friends with non-Jewish, Catholic, Protestant, whatever religious children who lived in our street. It was a mixed place. There was not just Jews, just that. And when they told us that we have to gather our stuff in a small suitcase, we were allowed to take 3 times our change, 1 blanket, and some food. And they move us next morning at 8 o'clock, let's say, to the ghetto. I just can remember one thing. My best friends with whom I was together decorating their Christmas tree, and they were coming to my place at our high holidays, living nearby. And when the day came that the gendarmerie, they are police people with feather heads, they came for us, and we had to be at 8 o'clock before our home. They locked our home, and that was it. And they marched us through the streets to the ghetto. What I cannot forget, and I want to mention it to you after so many years, that I could not understand, where are my friends? Where are my neighbors? Where are the people with whom we were together for so many years? Nobody came to the street. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a goodbye. Nobody said, maybe you shouldn't take those people. They were nice, quiet people. We were citizens of the country. My father, grandfather was born there. We were not jailers. We were hardworking, my parents, although professional, but we had hardworking people. That pain and that hurt I am carrying through my whole life. That's why it's so important for me for so many years to talk to young people, because I believe in the young people and educating them about it. We went to the ghetto where they gave us a 5 meter by 5 meter section in a barrack. There was straw on the bottom. My father tried to make from the blankets walls that we should not sit so close by the next family. I have to give you here a picture. Myself being dressed in a skirt and top, 2 pigtails with the white bows in my hair. This is the way I went to school with a uniform, and this is the way I went to the ghetto. I used to read, my parents had a German magazine. It exists even today. The name of that magazine is the Spiegel. It means the mirror. And in that magazine, I always read that the Jewish people in Germany, they are dirty, they are not trustworthy, they made fun and caricature about the Jewish people, and I could not understand it. But I have to tell you something. When I was 2 days at the ghetto, and when they made us all handle bricks from one side and the other side, and it was muddy, and it was dirty, and we didn't have water, and we didn't have means to wash ourselves. Yes, in 2 days, I became a dirty Jewess. I was filthy. We stayed there about 5 or 6 weeks under this condition, when they told us to gather our little things and come to a railroad track which was at the end of the factory. We didn't know what it is for, and then there was standing lots and lots and lots of cattle cars. I remember they opened one cattle car and they started to count us, 75, 80, 82, 85 people. That was it. You went in, then they locked you from outside, and you were in a cattle car, straw on the bottom, people sitting like this. We had old people who were sick. We had babies there who were crying. We had all kinds of sounds and noises. And in that cattle car, there was a barrel on one side where you could relieve yourself. Once a day, the train stopped and the man emptied it and brought it back, and we were locked back again. It had a small window. It had barbed wires on it. That was the only air you could feel. My grandmother was a very religious woman. She was sitting in the corner and praying all the time. And I remember asking her, Grandma, what are you doing? And she says, I'm praying to God that we help the Germans with their harvest or whatever they want us to do, and we shall go home. And I, a 15-year-old, I said to her, Grandmother, you believe that we can, once we free? I says, where is your God? I says, look outside that little window, you see birds fly, but us locked up. And my grandmother said to me, Judy, the time will come that you will remember that yes, we do have a God. We arrived to Auschwitz. When we went with the train, 2 nights, 3 days, at once I saw a sign, it says Krakow. I knew that it's Poland, but we didn't go to Germany. Then it said Oswiecim, which was Auschwitz, Auschwitz-Birkenau. We arrived. It was a nice day. They told us, raus, raus, raus. Heraus means out, but they all cut it and they said, raus, raus, raus. They were Germans with big dogs. We came off the train. I remember seeing men in striped uniforms. Some of them had a red line in the back, some of them had a yellow one, some of them had a black one. I didn't know what it meant. Later I learned the yellow was Jew, the red was communist, the black was homosexual. All these things were taken to Auschwitz. And they helped us to come down from the train. I did not understand that the one guy who helped me, he said all the time when I wanted to take my little valise, my little suitcase, he was all the time saying, what do you need that? Leave it here. In a few hours you will be, and he showed like that. I didn't know what he's showing. Later I learned that so many who arrived and were young or not capable, they were straight to the gas. And that's what he meant, that I won't need my things. When we got off the train, there was a platform on which there was standing, I don't know the number, but lots of SS generals, I don't know what ranks they had. They were standing there. There was between them one guy who had a different uniform. He was in a black uniform, very shiny boots and gloves, I recall it. I didn't know who he was. Later I learned his name was Dr. Mengele, who actually done the selection of people who stays alive and who is dying right away. They told us to stand women one side, men on the other side, 5 in a row. And then this gentleman asked if anybody could help him translate 3 languages, Hungarian, Slovak, Czech to German. Myself, being a very proud little girl, put my hands up since I spoke 4 languages. At the time, I put up my hand and he said to me to stand beside him. And he told me in German that he wants me to do the following thing. He says, if some ladies don't want to give up their children, I should just tell them that the children and the old people are going by trucks to a certain place, and the capable and able young people will walk, but on the end, everybody will meet everybody. So, he was saying left and right and left and right. I didn't know what the left meant, what the right. I just knew that even when my own aunt who came with us in the same cattle train with 2 little cousins of mine, and to whom my grandmother ride the payment to her because she had 2 kids, so my grandmother thought that their little kids she has to help my aunt and not to be with us with my mother. And when she didn't want to give up the kids to go with my grandmother on one side and her on the other side, and I said to her, Aunt Mary, why don't you give the children to Grandma? You will walk and Grandma and the kids will go by the tram. And my aunt said, no, I am going where my kids are going. I'm not going without my kids. He didn't make a fuss. He sent them all to the left. He didn't make a fuss with those ladies who didn't give up the kids, but I had to translate it anyhow for them, what his wishes were. On the end, he sent me also to the right. I didn't know. The column was long. My mother and sister were in the front. Excuse me. I was in the back. Right behind me, the men's column started. My father was within the first guys. And he asked me, Judy, where is Mom and Rose? I says, I don't know. He says, what do you mean? I says, I don't know. He says, oh my God, we were separated. Now you are separated from your mother. Anyhow, they took the man one side and we went on the other side. As we were walking into the camp, I was amazed. There was an orchestra playing the most beautiful songs, the most beautiful concert pieces, things which I had learned to play on piano. I didn't know from where does this beautiful music come. Later I learned that this was an 80-piece orchestra from the inmates which were playing every time when a transport came in. The Germans had a belief that if they have these people listening to music, they won't go wild, they won't scream, they won't cry, they will peacefully, as he was right, or they were right. We were marching in peacefully. We marched into a place where they told us to undress naked, shoes, everything, and then naked walk from one place to the other. And through that hallway, there were standing German officers on 2 sides, which were making fun about the ladies who passed by. The fat ones, the skinny ones, with a stick, they were pushing the butts up, they were kicking them, they were doing whatever and have fun with all these naked ladies. I just remember one thing, that I passed by with my head down. I was ashamed. Somebody yanked my 2 pigtails. And he said to me, Herauf mit dein Kopf, du stolze Judy, which means in German, up with your head, you proud Jewess. I was not proud, I was ashamed. I did not walk in our house before my father naked, and I never walked before no man naked. I was 15.5 years old and I did do that. We went into a room where they shaved our hair. I had beautiful long hair. Yes, all went down, pubic underarm everywhere where there was hair. Then they tossed you a uniform, a gray tweed uniform, 3 buttons here, short sleeves. You had no underwear. They took my perfect, good, tall shoes, almost like a boot, and gave me a wooden pair of shoes, no socks, nothing. And then they told us to go into again to another room. I was bitterly crying by this time, and a Jewish neighbor of us, she saw me crying and she said to me, Judy, why are you crying so bitterly? And I said to her, I don't know where is my mother and my sister, I'm alone. And she says to me, your mother and your sister is standing there. They came in the first one with me. And I looked there and I recognized my mother. I first didn't recognize her and my sister because I never had seen them with no hair and in those uniforms. You can imagine how happy I was that I found them. They took us out by the nice music through lots of barbed wire place. I had seen people hanging on the barbed wire, and I don't know why they hang there. That I learned later too, that some people lost their mind and they wanted just to get out, and they went and they touched the barbed wire, and it was with electricity, and they get electric current was hanging there. And just once a day they picked them up before the next transport came. We went into our barrack, which I think about 200, 250 women in one. It was, they call it koya, bunk beds, 10 people on one, which 5 people lying like this, 5 like that, with one blanket on the straw. We couldn't care less. We were so tired, so exhausted. We put our heads down and we had fallen asleep. We didn't even notice the rats which were going through our bodies and heads because we were so deep in sleep. At 4:30 in the morning, every morning, they yelled again, rouse, rouse, rouse. You had to stand in what they call Seelapel, which means accounting in German, and they accounted for every person who was there. I have never heard and seen in my whole lifetime such a perfect accounting and such a perfect system what the Germans had. We had any given time 35,000 inmates in Auschwitz. They knew exactly how many they are every day, alive, sick, or how many died. As we were standing 5 in a row, the first one always had to say 5, 5, and they counted it this way. Later on, it was 1. Too loud?
Yeah.
Close to you.
Sometimes,
Can you hear?
yeah, but it was too loud. Sometimes we had to count like 4, 1, 6, later 3, 1 dead, 1 sick, and they calculated it from one barrack. It went to the other and so forth and so on, till they had tallied it up until it worked. If it didn't work, you could stand in that Seelapel from 4:30 till 7 or 8 o'clock like this till they counted the whole. But usually after 2-3 hours they counted the whole place. We were neighbor barracks with the Romas. The Romas were taken also from our place, and they were with their children because Dr. Mengele loved to make all kind of experience with people, and he kept those Roma kids for experimental purposes. He kept twins also from the same purpose. He challenged people that are also saved by him because he wanted to not to have challenged people in his country, so he was doing tests with them. He wanted to have twins, so he wanted to examine them. He was doing some terrible, terrible things there with the inmates. He wanted just save some blue-eyed, blonde girls because he loved to be Germany, all white, blonde, and blue-eyed. It was funny that he himself was looking to me like he would be a Jewish guy or at least an Italian or something, because he had dark skin, dark hair, dark complexion, but he wanted just blondes and blue eyes and normal children in the country. We got every morning a coffee. My sister is alive, and we cannot figure it out till today what was that, tea, coffee, or colored water, or whatever it was. We got that much coffee. We got a piece of cornbread. That was our breakfast. For lunch, always 10, 12 girls had to go with 4 big barrels of soup, which we got in the kitchen. I learned in the kitchen from inmates who were longer there about what was this thing, what the guys said. They explained it to me that the smell I'm smelling is burning flesh. People who were burned, transport which arrived, and they were not sent to the right side, they went to the left. They were straight going in the gas, they were gassed away, and then they burned in the crematorium. I learned there about many, many things. Actually, I learned about how many inmates they are and all the accounting things. All those who were there for 3 years, they had more knowledge about it. We were taking the soup back. 6 girls were handling on a long rod a big barrel of soup, which consisted of water, no potatoes, no meat. It was just all kind of green leaves. One person was handing you out the food. You have to understand one thing, how they could humiliate people. And this was hurting me more than where I was. They gave a pot about this size of soup for 10 people, which meant we were sitting on the floor, and the little pot was going from one girl to the other girl. Every soup party is supposed to take a gulp and then pass it on. And again, the second time, again a gulp. And the other 9 was watching it. And if anybody would have taken more than a gulp, I think the other 9 would kill them. I have to tell you, I had never seen in my life what hunger can do. I have seen sisters fight with sisters. I have seen mothers and daughters killing themselves over a piece of food. Hunger is a terrible thing, terrible. We were there in Auschwitz several months. We didn't work at all. They didn't have nothing for us to do there. They put us out in the morning, we were sitting outside. Once a day they took you to the latrines where you could leave yourself, no paper to clean yourself, no water to clean your hands, to wash your hands. And they were even walking on those latrine holes The Germans are yelling, raus, 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 out, out, out. Sometimes you didn't even finish properly. It was humiliating, terribly humiliating. Then a day came and they said that they want to pick some women to go outside of Auschwitz to work. You always wanted to go out somewhere to work because maybe you thought that you will be able to get away from the gas chambers. Maybe you will survive on some food. Somebody somewhere will find some food. So we were lucky. My mother and my sister and myself were picked for going out to work. I forgot to tell you here that we were so skinny by that time. And especially my mother, who was considered an old lady, she was 4 years old. She was so skinny that she didn't have bust, just some sticking out, some little, I don't know what it was, honestly. She was kicked and beaten up more by the Germans, not as much did my sister get. My mother did a lot. I was somehow lucky. I wasn't beaten that much. But I was the person who they needed extra work to scrub floors or to peel more potatoes or scrub out the big dishes. I was doing that voluntarily because I always fed myself with the things which they left on the plates. From Auschwitz, they put us on regular trains and they gave us regular clothing. I want you to hear a little smile, a little bit. I will tell you a little funny thing. My sister, who was skinny, and she's a petite woman, when we got our clothing for going out to work, she got a long floral chiffon evening gown. And she got a jacket which was coming on her, almost to her knees. I got a size, I don't know men's sizes, but it must have been 50, size 50, because I had to put the pants like this with a string, and they gave me other string to put my jacket and put a string over it. And my sister started to cry, and I says, Rose, what's the matter with you? So she says, how can we work in a chiffon long gown? I says, don't worry, you will catch on something and we will tear up a piece and they will catch, because you cannot tear up nothing what belongs to German. But if you will catch it, you will take it a little bit, and then on the end you will have a short dress. This was the way I could make her calm, and she was so scared. She was 2 years older than I am, but she was scared of everything. And she was always telling me, why do you offer yourself for this more work and that more work? We will be shot on the end anyhow. We went to a working place which was easier for us because we were 400 women in that camp altogether. Barbed wire it was, food was scarce just the same, but we were working in a factory. First, actually on the field, you know, we had to make, I don't know how they call it, they make marijuana from it, I know. That they call it, we had to make that first. Then it went into the factory that they went through. Sorry. It went through, it's okay? I don't know. Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah, okay. So then we had to put it in machines and it became softer. We had to comb it, and then it went into a place where they made linen. It wasn't bad, the work, and we got 5 potatoes daily more, which meant that when you came home from work, there was 5, please, on your place, 5 potatoes. They never let us in without the German woman going in front of us, because girls would change the potatoes. I would have changed the potatoes for a bigger potato if I see that my neighbor got a bigger potato. and they would do the same with me. It was terrible. It was terrible, and it was, I cannot tell you the word because hurting is not the word, because I became anymore after a half a year like nothing could come close to me. Everything what happened, I had to do it, and I had to, like a machine, daily do the same thing what they wanted, be happy and try to not to dream about food. That was my just work, and to do it and to accept anything what happened, because otherwise you couldn't have gone through a day. My mother and my sister were weaker than I was. I was the youngest among the three of them, and very happy that we could keep together, because people who did have families together, they survived it better. Sometimes they made such close friendship, mothers who lost their daughters, and they made with a young girl a friendship just to belong to somebody, and then they can go through better. We worked in that camp, and from that camp, maybe you heard about it, we started our death march, which meant that we were taking from one place to the other, and wherever they needed help to work, we stayed there. Whether it was a week's work or 2 weeks' work, we stayed there. The weather did not do us any favor, because we had short sleeve dresses, no underwear, so we were very cold all the time. My shoes started to get apart. Finally, I took one blanket which I had left, and I put it on my feet, and this is the baby's, the torn up shoe I was walking. I worked at Krupp, maybe you have seen here in some of the hardware stores. They are making all kind of small machinery. They make very nice parts. I actually don't go close to them because I worked for them, but in a different capacity. At that time, they were making airplanes, and we had to count the size of the airplane thing. Everything had to be just so. If it wasn't, we had to throw it into the garbage. So I was working for Krupp. We stayed there about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we went again, further, again walking, again in the cold. We went through fields that I never knew how a potato field looks, but I had recognized it, and we took out the potatoes as it was, dirt, raw, ate it. We went through not sweet potato, from the what they make the sugar, and we went through that. We had to take that, and dirty as it was. We went through pigsties where there were pigs somewhere in the village, and they had food there. My mother or any of the girls, myself, we went and we helped offset to that food. Whatever we found, everything dirty from the. I cannot say to you the words. We were like pigs eating everything what we can put our hands on. We went like that from camp to camp because both sides, they were coming already. Russians, Americans, we didn't know from where, we didn't know what, but we just knew one thing, that they are trying to get us out from that place because something or somebody was near us. Once we were going with a train from one place to the other, again in cattle cars, when the bomb started to fall, and somebody opened from outside our cattle car, and we all ran out, and then when it was the Americans, and when they saw all the uniformed people, they took off. I can remember how they came low down and they took off completely. I was hiding with my sister and my mother. We were going away from the train, And unfortunately, there was a little pond or something, and my sister fell into it, and the German came and back, and we were all put back in the cattle car and closed from outside. And again, we went further. We went like that for months and months, till they brought us to a camp which name is Mauthausen. Again, a camp which had gas. By this time, half of the people who came with us, they were dead, or we left them behind somewhere. There was no hope that we can survive that. There was no hope in my mind, which I was the one and hopeful that we can do that. The thing what they done to us, the kicking, the beating, wherever you went, and if a German came by you and you were doing whatever work you were doing and he had a stick in his head and it went like that, whether your face, whether your neck, whether your back. Some girls just fell over because they were so weak. So then he went with his boots and kicked once or twice into that girl. Those are things, excuse me, those are things which I cannot express in words. I cannot tell you the feeling one has, total helplessness. All what you know, all your mind, everything I couldn't accept it really, but I had to go on, and I had to go on. I had my sister and my mother who got weaker and sicker as we went on. By the time we arrived to Mauthausen, it's 163 steps to make up to that camp. I don't think that we could make it. I was holding on to my sister and to my mother. I cannot tell you guys how we got up, but we got up. I had seen Jewish artifacts lying, our prayer shawls, our Bibles on the floor, on the steps. I didn't know what it was. They brought some guys who were 3-4 years in camps, working camps, and they brought these guys, and these guys could not make the steps, and they got rid of the religious things which they had. We arrived to the camp up there, and there was a guy in a striped uniform taking your numbers. I didn't have number here because we had typhoid fever in our section, so I just have number here written on my uniform. And the guy by the number realized it, that I'm from Czechoslovakia, because he himself from Czechoslovakia, and he was writing down this number, but in the striped uniform with the red stripe. He was a communist. And he said to me, little girl, you come from Czechoslovakia? I says, yes. He says, are you alone? I says, no, my sister and my mother. So he says, they will ask tomorrow in the camp whether there is somebody who can sew in a tailor shop. Put your hands up, because at least you will be in a warm place and maybe somebody can help you. I definitely will try to help you. So really next day they came and they looked for some help in the tailor shop, and we put our hands up, and my sister, myself and my mother, we were picked to go to the tailor shop. The place at this camp in Mauthausen did not have walls. It has beams and it had just a roof, so you were sleeping out in the cold without nothing. I really don't know how we made it, really. And we went to work to the tailor shop. I was working by the side, a German lady who was very nice to me. She gave me a piece of her lunch. They had so much food that their sandwiches looked like that, but she gave me a piece of that. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. It's very important about, I should remember that and tell you even later. When we were going to our first working camp, we were sitting in regular trains, and an SS woman was sitting beside us, 20-some in a place. And in a big window, the train, and we came to a station where she was warm, I guess, and she opened up. I don't know, that bothers me, that noise. She opened up the window that air should come in. And when I looked out, I had seen that the woman is pumping water in a pitcher. I hear the second noise, that's the trouble. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry, I never do that. And she opened the door. She wanted to have some fresh air. And I saw a lady pumping water in a pitcher. And I said to her, would you be so kind and give me a little bit of water? And she came with her pitcher toward the window. And when she was really close to the window, she dumped the water on the floor. She spit on me, and laughingly she went away. I forgot to tell you that things like that had happened to me, to many people, to my parents, on daily basis. That we were not considered as human beings, no matter how educated, how well brought you were up, how much you read, how much you knew, you were nothing. In their German eyes, you were nothing. From Mauthausen, as I said, this guide helped us. He was waiting every evening when we are going home. He had either a piece of bread, or he had a carrot, or he had an onion. Anything, but he always was giving me or my mother or my sister, who was close on the side where he was standing. One day he told me that he would like to ask me a favor. He gave me a piece of paper this side, and it was his father's name in Prague. And he said, if you got home, any of you, and I don't get home, would you go and visit my father and mother and tell them that I was helpful and good in the camp? I said, okay. And I was laughing, and I said to him, why couldn't you be home? He was, I think, about, in my opinion, I was 15 going on 16, so he must have been 25, 26 years old. In any case, I didn't know where to put this piece of paper, but I took it. And believe it or not, I couldn't hold on to it, but I read it so many times, the name, which was a Czech name, and just the name I recalled, and I knew that he told me that his father was a judge in Prague. Anyhow, from Mauthausen, that was our last stay. From Mauthausen, we went to Gunskirchen. Gunskirchen is the place where I was freed. Gunskirchen was a small camp when I arrived. I didn't know really where I am. I'd never seen people so skinny, so frail, the eyes here in the back. You can see every rib sticking out. They were people who were there not for a year like I and a few months, but they were 3 or 4 years there. They were sitting and shaking like this, like that. They called them the Muslim men. They told us, this and this will be our place. And then that same day they asked, would anybody here volunteer to go to the kitchen to clean for the SS women, their clothing and it was a post, it was a post for them. And naturally I always put my hand up. Wherever I had a chance, I put my hand up. So they took me in the morning to that place where the German SS women lived. I had to wash the clothing, I have to wash the floor, I have to prepare them their lunch, and they were always at lunchtime in, and then they took their guns and they were going out. It was a fantastic place for me. By the time I had a little pot like that, which I stolen or taken somewhere, I don't know, every plate which was left that much food, I would put it together in that little pot to take for my mother and my sister. Myself, I ate every leftover I had seen there. I did that on daily routine. Meanwhile, my sister and my mother got really very sick already. I didn't know what to do. Believe it or not, one day I stolen a bottle of whiskey, and I remember that whiskey my father used to drink sometime. So I took that bottle, I put it between my legs, and I had to march into the camp 1, 2, 3, 4 lengths, so I drive here. And this bottle didn't fall because I would have been killed. And with my stupid 16-year-old head, I thought that if Mom and Rose will drink a little bit from this drink, the bacteria will die. And my mother said, Judy, take it back because they kill us all if you had stolen that. So next day again, I don't know why. And when I was younger, I tried it many times. How did I bring that bottle out and back? I took it back. The day of my liberation, when I was there, and my mother and my sister very sick, I heard a terrible roar and looked out from the outpost, and I had seen 3 big tanks. I didn't know whose tanks they are really. The tanks went and through the barbed wire and came into an empty space which we had there. I didn't know what to do. I just saw that it opens one of the tank, and with a bullhorn, an Afro-American said, "You are free. Stay on your places, the Red Cross will be here. You were liberated by the American." Excuse me. You were liberated by the Army of the United States of America. I started to run towards my mother and my sister, and I said, "We are free." I pulled them up and I said, "We have to get out from here. Please, take so much strength to get out from here." So they hold on to me, and we got through a bush, and at 1 minute a light was in my face. I got scared, and I didn't know who it is. But when I looked up, I had seen it was an Afro-American, and it said here, MP. I knew it's American, and I said in English to him, "I have to kiss you." And he said to me, no, because I was full of lies and dirty. He said, "Just go straight, go straight." And I went straight, and there was the American army in a town called Wels, it's Austria, and they took us, they banned us, they gave us a medication, an antidote. We were taking all the time a drug in our food, not to have the women, the monthly cycle. And the Americans give us right away because our stomachs were so big. They gave us an antidote, they banned us, they gave us baby food. Because so many, when we got freed in Gunskirchen, They went and they opened up the German pantries and they stole and ate the rice raw and the pasta raw and everything. And in 24 hours they died because their stomach was not used to it. And the Americans fed you with popcorn, with baby food. My sister and my mother was taken to the hospital because they had the typhoid fever themselves. And me, I went to a German house where I was staying till they got better. I went to visit my mother every day, but they didn't let me in because it was contagious. So the Americans showed me a window where I can look in and see them and do like that to them. They fed me the American with all kinds of chocolates and everything, but they could just give me to nourish me. Transports were going home. They were taking people home. We missed it because I was waiting for my sister and my mother. And 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And I waited till the 3 months, and when my mother got better, we tried to get home. We got home walking and train and buses, whatever was available. We went to our house. I knocked on the door, a lady opened and she didn't let me in. She said she wasn't there, but it's my house. She bought it from the government and it's hers. Anyhow, finally we went to my father's office and I found my father there with other old gentlemen of 45 or 48 who were coming to kill him back. What I want to say, after that, life changed. We were back in Czechoslovakia. I finished my school, my sister finished her school. I got married in Czechoslovakia. I came out through South America to Canada. Canada did not want to accept us either. Right after the war, they didn't accept Jewish people to come in here. When you have a chance, maybe you can read a book by Dr. Abela, which is none too many, all the strict regulation, but they had against Jews not coming in. I got married. I have 2 daughters. I have 2 granddaughters. I have 5 great-grandchildren. All the things, but they didn't let study Jewish people at the time, at my time, did not happen in Canada. My kids can become whatever they wanted. My grandchildren could become whatever they wanted. If you have your ambition, you can do anything you want in this country. I am blessed that I came to this country and I raised my family in this country. And I hope that when it will come to the voting time for you, you will watch one thing which is important. Never make differences and vote governments which make differences between religion, color, and creed. Because I tell you, I am 90-year-old. There is no difference. We are all the same. We all have a heart and we all have a soul. God bless you and take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Judy, for coming to speak today. If anybody wants to ask any questions, put your hand up and I will give you the microphone and you can ask Judy a question. Does anybody want to ask anything? Oh, yeah. Don't worry. You're here as attendance for this presentation. You don't need to worry about being late. Anybody want to ask any questions?
That's okay.
That's okay?
That's okay. If you don't want to.
Okay. Thank you very much all for coming today.
Thank you girls very, very much. Boys, I'm sorry.
On behalf of Vaughn Secondary School, I do want to present this to you and thank you for speaking here today. Thank you, we really appreciate it.
I have a request if the girls want to give me a hug while I look. I don't mind if they see that much. You can come and give me a hug and that's good.
Yeah.
I did try and tell her to keep it to, it's very difficult.
I know,
She's
that's
so
fine.
involved in the detail and,
I can't, yeah.
yeah.
It's amazing that she remembers
I
this.
can't believe how she remembers.
Mhm.
Incredible. Incredible that she remembers the detail. Oh my God. I know. Yeah, it's so emotional. So emotional. That's a good idea.
I make up the person.